Good evening, everybody. I'd like to welcome everybody to the Tuesday, January 6, 2026 Abington School Committee, which includes our budget hearing for the fiscal year 27 preliminary school department budget at the Middle High School Library. If I could have everybody please stand to salute the flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. First up, hearing of visitors. This is not the public hearing, but if anybody has anything they'd like to address the committee on, now would be the time. Okay, the next item, I'd like to try and approve the minutes for our November 25th, 2025 meeting. After the committee gets a chance, I'll be looking for a motion to approve in a second or any amendments.
I'll make a motion.
I'll second. All in favor?
Aye.
I also just want to mention Student Representative Andrew Van Luling could not be here tonight. He had an appointment that was a prior commitment. I'm sure everybody knows. So at this time, I'll be looking to for a roll call vote from the committee to enter into our public budget hearing. And Dr. Michelle will present, probably along with Ms. Gainey, a lot of the information that we have here. So I'll just go right down the line with the yes or no to enter the public hearing. Caroline?
Yes.
Melanie?
Yes.
Heidi?
Yes.
I'll say yes. And Pam?
Yes.
Dr.
Great,
Michelle?
thank you. Thank you. Thank you to the committee for the opportunity to present the FY27 preliminary budget for the Abington Public Schools. Prior to providing that information, I want to do a few thank yous. I would like to thank our previous town manager, Scott Lambiese, our interim town manager, Mike Moresco, and our finance director, town accountant Andrew Nocom, for their assistance as we have put this budget, this preliminary budget together. Additionally, I would be remiss if I didn't also thank our administrative team, our department heads and directors for all the work that they have done leading up to this presentation tonight. And also Dr. Basta, Dr. Robbins, and Ms. Gainey for all their work. The first thing I would like to do is take a moment to walk everyone through our budget packet, which is in the packet online. You can see it there, and the committee members have a copy in front of them. So in this packet includes our table of contents, a message from me regarding what this budget is and what it represents. We also have a budget development and article planning schedule, which you have seen before and actually voted on in a previous meeting. On page 3, you'll find our enrollment data from October 1st. And it's this enrollment data plus some additional data that we receive from a demographic study that we do each year that helps us make decisions and build the budget for the next school year. On page 4, you'll find our employee list, and these are all the employees employed in the Abington Public School by school and by department. On page 5, you'll see 2 charts, how our budget is appropriated. And you'll see the top pie chart is representative of the other side of the page, which is administration, instruction, other school services, operation and maintenance, acquisition of fixed assets, and programs with other districts. And you'll also see a chart that indicates the split between our salaries and our expense accounts within our operating budget. And very consistently, our school department budget is about 75% salaries and about 25% expenses. Next, you'll see our increase by major category, which we will, I'm getting like hand signals, increase by major category, and we'll talk a lot more about that when we do the slide presentation. You have the next 3 pages are inclusive of the instructional material requests that we received from our schools. And our probably largest item in the budget is in our budget packet is our line by line budget. And that is something that Sarah Gainey spent hours and days and maybe weeks even making sure that each of those lines are indicative of how we spend our money. So on one column, you have this year's final budget, and then the increases, and then the proposed budget for FY27. And every single nickel we spend, you'll find line by line in the line by line budget. And finally, in our budget packet, you'll find 2 article requests that we will forward to Town Hall. The first is our level service budget amount, and the second article is around transportation for out-of-district students attending a vocational school, and we can talk a little bit more about that when we get to that vote. Does that work, Chris? Okay.
Yep.
Are there any questions on the budget packet? I will say right now, I'll say again when I'm finished, and I'll continue to say that if people have any questions, any community members, any parents, anyone have questions about our budget, please, please, please reach out. We will, if we don't know the answer, we'll find out the answer. Hopefully we do know the answer, but a lot goes into this. There's a lot of information in the budget book, and if you have questions, please reach out and ask.
And they can find this on the website, correct?
That is on the website, yes. All right. So as we go into our FY27 budget, I just wanted to take a moment to talk about how we decide what is in the budget and what is important. And our decisions are guided by our strategic plan. We talked a lot about our strategic plan over the last year and a half, and everything that we do is guided by that strategic plan. All of our expense lines have been funded at a minimal amount. Every school department person, FTE, and position that is included in this budget is necessary and included. It's necessary for the work that we do. And this particular budget, our level service budget, maintains the educational services, classes, and class load that we have today. Our FY27 preliminary budget proposal is $34,358,222. And as I said, that amount represents the amount of money that we need to provide the children of Abington with a quality educational program. It is a level service budget. It takes everything that we have today and with the increases associated with it, replicate it next year. So we haven't added any staff. We haven't added any curriculum or new programs. What it does is maintains the reasonable class size that we have today. It maintains the curricular and extracurricular activities and programming that we have today. It keeps our commitment to instructional resources, such as laptops for students, for all students in grade 5 through 12, for example, software, and books. And it also includes certain built-in increases or mandated costs that'll automatically cause our budget to increase. So now I'm going to go where our budget increases. So as I said, this budget does not add anything. It doesn't add any staff. It doesn't add any program. But with the 330 plus employees that we have, with our contractual obligations, we anticipate the budget to go up $1,152,267. We have settled contracts across all our collective bargaining units. We have no one that doesn't have a settled contract for next year. We anticipate right now that our retirement offset will be $87,532. And what that means is that we take those people that have indicated thus far that they plan to retire either at the end of this year or right at the beginning of next year, take their current salary, and then there's the salary of bringing in a new person to replace them. And so the $87,000 is the difference between an outgoing employee and an incoming employee. Right now, we anticipate this amount of money. We may get additional retirements, and if we do, you'll see those in future budgets, future budget presentations. Next, we have programs with other districts. These are our students on IEPs that attend school outside of Abington, whether it be a educational collaborative or a private special education school. We anticipate that the budget for programs with other districts will increase by $51,938. Dr. Robbins works very, very closely with our special education staff, our out-of-district coordinator, our principals, and meeting with all of us to talk about each student that is on an IEP and what the anticipated placement or change of placement for that student will be in the following year. So thank you, James, for your diligence around special education. We anticipate receiving $232,754 less in our circuit breaker reimbursement for next year. And that is primarily for two reasons. One, you may remember this time last year, our special education budget actually went down because we had students that aged out of expensive placements. And so we didn't have to pay for them this year. And because we didn't have to pay for them this year, we don't get reimbursed for them next year. Additionally, our circuit breaker reimbursement right now is at 70% reimbursement. And because we haven't seen, the governor hasn't released her budget yet, we don't know whether it will be funded at the full 75%, which is where it's supposed to be, or if it'll be at some number less than that. We are fairly confident that it won't be less than 70%, and we're hoping we'll see 75%, in which case we can decrease this increase.
That's at 70% right now. on the
That's at
presentation.
70% right now. We have we anticipate our regular education transportation increasing $231,278. That is a 20% increase on our regular education transportation. That is a lot. We are at the end of our 3-year plus 2 1-year options on our regular education transportation contract. So we'll be going out to bid. And from what we have heard from our colleagues across the South Shore and talking to vendors, we can anticipate seeing a 20% increase in our transportation. And that's with making some significant non-safety changes to our contract. But for example, we don't anticipate in this contract asking for new buses because our buses will still be within their usable life. So that absolutely decreases the increase. So we're doing everything we can to tweak our budget, our documents, our bid documents, to try to keep that number as low as we can. We are increasing our special education transportation by $58,175, which represents a 5% increase in special education transportation. And the reason we're not seeing a 20% increase in special ed transportation is because we use multiple vendors and we have a more competitive bidding process with multiple vendors around special education transportation. So we see a less of an increase. We, as I have indicated, we met with all of our principals, department heads, and directors, and from the work that they did, we anticipate an $8,384 reduction in our instructional materials, which is great. We're still going to have consumable. We anticipate having consumable materials for students and other instructional materials, but we anticipate an $8,000 decrease in what we have for this year. Our next 2 items revolve around operation and maintenance. The town of Abington has just entered into another competitive electric contract. And unfortunately, as we know from our home bills, electricity costs have gone up, and we're anticipating a 12% increase on our electrical expenses for next year, $58,586. And finally, we have a 15% increase, or $74,874 for maintenance of our buildings. You've heard us, you've heard me, you've heard Sarah talk about our aging elementary schools and the costs associated with keeping those buildings heated, safe, non-leaking, and we are seeing more and more costly repairs needing to be done to those buildings. And the responsible, prudent thing as responsible stewards of those buildings is to keep them maintained as well as we can. And so we're anticipating an increase in our maintenance budget, for a total increase to the FY26 budget of $1,763,957, or a 5.41% increase. I would like to reiterate that this budget is a level service budget. This is taking what we have this year, adding the costs to do what we do this year, next year. Keeps our current staffing levels, our current programming, and it does keep an eye on special education and student needs. It does not bring in any new programming, any new staff, or any real updated curriculum materials. That being said, you are going to hear a little bit later from Dr. Basta around our PRISM grant, which is our EL materials that we anticipate for next year, but those were part of a town meeting article last year. So there will be some new materials next year, but not from this budget. A level service budget keeps what we have this year and moves it to next year. As I indicated prior, about 75% of our budget is salaries and 25% are expenses. And that number has been fairly consistent, plus or minus 1 or 2% for many, many years. We are in the people business. That's what we do. We employ people to educate children. That's tonight's presentation for our level service budget, and I'm open to answering any questions anyone may have.
Let me start first with members of the committee. Does anybody have any questions they want to ask Dr. Michelle?
I think mine is more, as you were saying, I was writing down, we're looking at a 12% increase in electricity, a potential 20% increase in transportation. These are not things that we are choosing to see increases in. These are not things that we have to have electricity.
Correct.
We are required by law to have transportation. So a lot of what we're seeing in this budget is things that there's no way around. We've asked the teachers to be mindful of how they are spending money. We've asked administrators to be mindful. But when you do look at an increase in maintenance budget because of the buildings and because of electricity, it's a huge number. But a lot of the biggest increases we're seeing right now are things that are literally out of our control. Am I reading that correctly?
Correct.
Okay.
Yes.
Felicia's going to sound like just like spitballing for small amounts, but is there any, like we think of the electricity, right? Is there a way to have lights shut down sooner than they actually may be right now? I'm just like any small amount, and I know it might be difficult outside of this building, right? I know the infrastructure in our elementary schools is not as up to date as this one is, but I guess is to Heidi's point, right? A lot, even beyond that, the contracts are the contracts, which are good for the schools too. I mean, they could have been a lot worse when we look at different things. So,
I believe that our collective bargaining agreements that were settled at the beginning or the end of last school year were they were fair to our educators, and they were also very fair to the community, considering what other communities around us were settling for collective bargaining agreements. In terms of our electricity, I will make sure I can speak with much greater detail at our next meeting, but our Director of Maintenance, Jason Lynn, over the last 8 or 9 years has taken advantage of every electrical rebate that's been available and spends much time over vacation weeks and summers retrofitting our older lighting fixtures throughout Beaverbrook and Woodsdale. So I can get more detail on that, but as soon as a lot of them were, hey, Felicia, if the district pays 10,000, we can get $100,000 worth of light fixtures and I can install them. And we're like, okay.
Yeah.
So we've done a lot of that. That doesn't mean though that we can't do better about, not turning on all the banks of lights in the classroom, making sure that when people leave a room that all the lights do go off. Those are things we absolutely can remind people of.
Thank you.
Quick question. I know Mass Save can come in to individual residences. Is it possible to get them to come into the schools and see if there's a way that we could possibly save, whether it be through some sort of free program that they offer?
We absolutely can. Those were the types of programs that we have taken advantage over the last few years, but I will get more information on that and report out in the end of January.
Can I ask you about the maintaining reasonable class sizes?
Sure.
So as I look at the current enrollment data, well, the October enrollment data, I'm maybe looking for some help here too. My thinking is that from 7 through 12 is a little different than K through 6.
Yes.
And thankfully, right, our K numbers and our sixth grade numbers are relatively close, so it could keep the same group of teachers. What I don't know, and I don't know how K affects this, is clearly we're going to have more than 98 students coming into kindergarten next year. This is just our early education program. Is there a way to know what you project kindergarten to be next year with using other tools, and how that may affect the
Yes, I can. Thank you. So each year we do a demographic study through NESDEC, which is a New England organization, and they look at, Danielle compiles a whole lot of information that goes to NESDEC, including home starts in Abington, birth rates throughout the last 5 years, our current enrollments, apartment dwellings that open up, and gives all this information, and then they pull in additional information that they're able to get from public sources and provide us a demographic study. I can say that it has been quite accurate over the last 10, 12 years that we've used it. According to the NESDEC report, they anticipate us having an additional 40 students in kindergarten next year. And
than there is right now.
So it's actually 208 or 206 students in kindergarten for next year. COVID was 5.5 years ago.
Yep.
So those students that were born during COVID are getting to be kindergarten age. Ms. Thompson and the Beaverbrook will be doing a huge kindergarten registration push in the next couple of months, and using that information that they get in their kindergarten registration, along with the information that they know about how many students typically register in the summer and miss kindergarten registration, we should have a better idea of what we believe our kindergarten enrollment will be for next year. If kindergarten registration were to be around 200 students, we would anticipate keeping the 8 sections and having approximately 25 students per section of kindergarten.
And then would grade one lose a sec?
Chris, can you help with which grades are going?
Yes.
And I know it's all preliminary.
Yep.
Right?
With what we have today,
Yeah.
we have some movements of, we'll add a section or else.
It was more just trying to equate the reasonable class sizes with not adding any staff and 40 more people. So that's
Right.
kind of where I was.
It's,
Yep.
right now, what we have this year, next year,
Yeah.
there's really two places where teacher movement would happen to adjust class size based on kids moving. And so at Beaverbrook, one of the sections that is in second grade this year would potentially move to first grade. So
Okay.
you'd have 8 kindergarten, 8 first grade, and 7 second grades.
Okay.
The other spot in the district would be grade 5 and 6 would swap. This year, there's 8 fifth grades and 7 sixth grades.
Okay.
Next year, there would be 8 sixth grades and 7 fifth grades. So that's why there's no change in
Got it.
teaching staff,
Okay.
but we're just reallocating them.
The kindergarten class sizes would just be, they'd be more, is
If-
where
if
it comes
we get
in.
the full 8,
Yeah.
full 40 more,
Okay.
we would have big classes.
Okay.
So I'm assuming, much like fifth grade is the grade level that currently has the floating class, correct?
Yep.
And you're looking at that, we're looking at approximately 15 students more just from grade 4 to grade 5. That class is about 15 kids larger than the ones around it. We're talking 40.
Yeah.
I mean, down the road, this could be two
A long-term
levels
issue.
more
Yeah.
instead
Yes.
of. So,
It'll be at least a 8 section up to 6th grade.
and that's going to be 8 sections of
25
healthy sections.
Yep, 25
Okay.
students.
Okay.
Felicia, generally speaking, are most staff that's certified to do 6 also, like, is it K through 6 that they're generally certified to
Typically,
do?
they have an elementary
Okay.
license, yep.
All right. Thank you, Dr. Basta.
Quick question. The
And
eight-
sometimes it's not the exact, like, there might be better fits.
Yeah, I get it. Yep, no, that makes sense.
I was gonna, the 8 sections for kindergarten do not include the sub-separate, or not the sub-separate, the
TLC
TLC.
students.
Yeah.
So the number of students includes all kindergarten students. If you took all kindergarten students at 200 divided by the 8 sections, there'd be 25 students per section. However, some students are in a substantially separate program, so there might be 5, 6, 7 students that actually don't go into those classrooms, so it might be 24. Or it might be in one classroom, 22, and some substantially separate students are included in for different parts of their day to bring their number up to 25.
Okay.
Can I ask another enrollment-related question? In the event that enrollment for K1 and 2 all increases unbeknownst to us, what would we do for space if we needed, regardless of budget, what would we do for space if we needed to add another physical space for our classroom? Do we have anything at Beaverbrook?
I'm going to actually look to Chris. If we could combine
And it's
some
okay if you don't have
spaces.
an answer. I'm just curious if you
Yeah.
have flexibility.
We don't have any empty spaces at Beaverbrook. I think you might have just said that.
Yep.
But I was thinking about what your question was. But we do have some spaces that are currently used for related service providers or for special educators where we might need to change the purpose of a space into a classroom. And now where is that educator going to do their small group work?
Yep.
And that's an
Like
easier
the stage
problem to fix.
at Woodsdale that we've
Exactly.
The
repurposed.
stage, the hallway.
Yep.
Which
Yeah.
can get very dicey.
It's easier to find a spot for 5 kids at a time than it is for 25.
Yep, who are there all day.
I mean, it's still a
Yeah.
problem. It's not easy, but
Yep.
we would make it work.
Okay.
Dr. Basta, on that note, even here, like, we're looking at, if these numbers stayed exactly the same, like 22 more kids at the middle school, 34 more kids at the high school. When we talk about spacing, and then those, I know there's not sections, but those class sizes will inevitably increase as well because of the number of people there. But do we have the room? I mean, do we have the room to support those increase in numbers right now in this building?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, we do.
As the same way we would find spaces,
Yeah.
we would combine spaces. Service providers would not have the space that they have now.
Yeah.
They might provide their service in a different space.
And I guess the way class sizes kind of work too, it's more almost looking at 4th versus 6th, because the 6th would move on to different
Right.
type of grade. So
Yes.
it's only like not like in terms of there's more people, but in terms of class sizes.
Right. The sections really matter up to 6th grade.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
And then there's more flexibility, if you will.
Yeah. no,
Well,
thank
and keeping in mind that we have a rather large building project going on in town as we speak,
you. Yeah.
what is that going to do to the demographics that we have in front of us? once that hits completion.
So just to reiterate and clarify, the level service budget that we have in front of us right now is not necessarily being the same class sizes and not necessarily the exact same look and feel depending on the needs of the students. This is our best guess right now to maintain what we have today for the future student base that we have tomorrow, which
Tomorrow,
tomorrow meaning next year.
August 31st,
Yep.
yes, 2026, yes. So we are taking the same number of staff that might be configured a bit differently.
Okay. Anyone else on the committee have any questions for Dr. Michelle or Dr. Bosto, Mrs. Gainey, for that matter?
I did have one more. Let me figure out where I wrote it down though.
Okay.
Can you get Danielle's money tree? I know she talked about one a lot throughout the evening.
Melanie, while you wait, I'm just gonna, so it's a public hearing. I just want to, if any of the public has any comments for Dr. Michelle, they can feel free to step up to the microphone at this time. Okay. Saves me that problem, saves that question later on, so.
The one other item I wanted to mention is that during the subcommittee meeting, and I apologize if I'm speaking out of turn, but I think this is important for the public to know, we did talk about fees associated with how we can offset our budget with potential fees. Because where we see an increase on our tax base, every resident is paying. Where we see an increase in fees, it's just those using the services. But looking at the detailed budget, our fees are less than 1% of our total budget. So sure, we could double every fee. It's not going to make a difference in that net number that we're seeing there, but it does make a big difference to each household. So we did have a brief discussion about whether fees make sense, and it's not something, to my knowledge, that is completely off the table, but it is something that we don't have significant movement in for next year based on our discussions.
That'll be a discussion over the coming month, 6 weeks.
I get what you're saying though, Melanie. It's like that was, if somebody says, oh, you can just increase the fees, we could, but it's going to hurt people more and it's not going to make the impact that you may
Right.
think it may make by saying that. It may just impact more people individually harder.
Right.
So,
Not to say we won't change the fees, but
Correct.
it's
It
not
could
going to make
change
a
some,
material
yeah.
impact.
Yeah.
It requires assessment for what other districts.
It's not going to make or break our overall budget.
Correct.
But it would make the activities less equitable for people who want to do them. Like if we increase the fees.
anyone else have any other questions for the administration?
I have to do a huge apology
Okay.
that I did not thank our Budget and Finance Subcommittee for taking time over winter break for meeting with us. Melanie and Caroline, I'm so sorry that you weren't on my initial list. So thank you for the time that you spent in your input and your valuable voice. So thank you.
Yeah, no, thank you very much. Appreciate it from
And-
our perspective.
And I'm quiet with the questions right now, but believe me, I
Ask
asked
them all
a
then.
lot
Yeah,
of them
been there.
at those
Yeah.
meetings. So
Nope,
Thank
that makes
you.
sense. So if we don't have any other questions, I will look to move out of public hearing and back into our meeting. So by roll call vote, we're just looking for a yes or no to come out of the public hearing. Caroline,
yes,
Melanie,
Yes.
Heidi,
Yes.
I'll go yes, and Pam?
Yes.
Okay, so now we're back into our meeting. Since we just discussed all of this, I'm gonna skip ahead a couple of spots if you're okay with
I was
that.
hoping you were going to.
Okay, and at this point, I'll be looking for a motion to submit for the annual town meeting warrant a proposed fiscal year 2027 budget figure of $34,358,222 as the amount requested for the school department's operating budget.
I'll make a motion.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
aye.
As well, did you want to hit on that?
Yeah, I'll take his.
Yeah.
Do you want to talk about it? You want? Okay. So we send students to non-member vocational technical schools for their high school experience. And those students, we are responsible for the transportation to that school. Right now, a majority of our non-resident vocational students go to Norfolk Agricultural School, and we provide a bus for those students to go to Walpole. Each year, Sarah, now for the last couple of years, has organized a collaborative bus with 13 South Shore communities, and there are 6 or 7 stops on the South Shore. And students from those communities take that bus and are bused into Walpole. So this is our portion of the 1/12 of the bill to send 2 buses actually to Norfolk Agricultural School or other Chapter 766
And just to
or
clarify,
Chapter 76.
I didn't mean to interrupt you, I'm
No.
sorry. And just to clarify, because if people are looking and they see the special ed transportation, the out-of-district transportation, this is not that. This is
Totally separate. Yep, thank you.
So with that, I'll be looking for a motion to submit for the annual town meeting warrant a proposed figure of $19,902 as the amount requested for student transportation services to Abington students attending out-of-district vocational schools as non-resident students for the 2026-2027 school year.
I'll make
The
the
school
motion.
committee or their designees shall be authorized to expend from this fund or act on anything relative thereto. I'll make the motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you.
Yep, no problem.
Can I just also reiterate
Do it, go, whatever you want.
that if people have questions, to please call, email. Sarah and I are available whenever someone wants to be available to talk about where we are and what we have and what we're proposing. So,
Great. Thank you,
Thanks.
Dr. Michelle. Thank you, Dr. Basta, Ms. Scaney. Just to let everybody know, the proposed homeschool that was in our packet has been withdrawn. So we're going to pass over that mention in the agenda. And I'm going to hand it over to Dr. Basta.
Thank you.
Yep,
Happy New Year, everyone.
me too.
You said you forgot to
I
say that.
forgot to say that too.
I got it. Thank you. We've talked a lot about ELA in Abington over the last few years. Last year, when we implemented our benchmark assessment, iReady, and we were also implementing phonics programs at the elementary schools, we sort of were able to hone in on what's going on in our elementary schools related to ELA. And so we applied for, we've talked about this before, we applied for and received one of the PRISM 2 grants from the Governor's Literacy Launch Program. The grant totals $293,600. There are, as a recipient of the grant, there is a very rigid structure for evaluating our current ELA practices, the needs of our students, and then looking at programs that put those two things together. So we have a coach assigned to Abington from a consultant group, which is mandated by DESE and assigned by DESE. And the consultant came to Abington and visited classrooms, spoke with teachers, administrators, students in October to put together what they call a landscape analysis. And so that is one of the things that is helping us move forward with the ELA review that we're doing. So in the packet, you have the executive summary from that landscape analysis. Essentially, it confirms what we've already been talking about, that having different programs at different grade levels and different instructional approaches, it's fragmented. And so it's not surprisingly not helpful for kids, right? It actually makes it a little bit more challenging for our kids. In addition to that, we've seen our MCAS scores in ELA on a downward trend, I would say. So the landscape analysis has confirmed what we've already been talking about. We, as a curriculum review team that has members of the teaching staff from Beaverbrook, Woodsdale, and grade 5 and 6 here at grade 5, sorry, at the middle school, along with administrators, we have been meeting once a month, sometimes twice a month, with the coach from our DESE assigned coach to look through the data, to look through the information that we have from surveys we've had families and teachers complete, and we've developed an instructional vision for what ELA looks like, what we want it to look like, what we aspire for it to be from kindergarten to grade 5. And so now using the data we have from the surveys, from the landscape analysis that was done by the coaching consultant, and then also using the vision that we have for instruction, we're ready to start to look at programs. So this is sort of an update on where we are. We will be meeting, the administrators who are on the council and the coach will be meeting at the end of January to start to talk about the program review, which will happen in February and March.
Okay.
Most likely it will be the teachers who are on the curriculum council. There's at least one, sometimes two teachers from each grade level, K to 5, on the council. Most likely those are the teachers who will be exploring different programs that we look at that fit our needs and our vision. And then there may be a few other volunteers also. And then the timeline is at the end of March, probably beginning of April, that council would make a recommendation for a program adoption for next year. So probably April, May, we would have a recommendation to implement a new program, K to 5. It might be 2 separate programs, or our goal would really be to have one program so that it's consistent, but it is somewhat challenging to find something that meets the needs of kindergartners and also the needs of 5th grade students. So we're not closed off to the idea of doing 2 separate programs, but our first goal is to find one. And then we will be using, it's basically a one-to-one match. The grant funds that I mentioned earlier, some of that is being used to pay for the consultant, again, mandated by DESE. But DESE's paying for it, so that's good. And then also for any substitutes that we have to get for teachers while they're in the meetings or while they're participating in any way in this project. And then also if teachers are asked to work outside of their contractual day, any hourly work that teachers need to do, that's covered by the grant. The rest of the grant is like a one-to-one match for curriculum adoption. So if we identify a program that we're going to implement, purchase and implement, that includes training and professional development for staff, and probably an online component, because every program does now, as we've talked about in the past, whatever that program is, let's just for round numbers say it costs $200,000. $100,000 would be paid out of the grant, and then $100,000 comes from last year's article that Dr. Michelle mentioned that we specifically requested for this project.
Okay.
So right now, this curriculum adoption is funded. It's funded by a grant and then by the article from last year.
Okay.
So I'm happy to answer any questions anyone might have. Yes.
Yes. I have several. So, first of all, I'm curious, you mentioned the families completed a survey. To whom was that sent? What kind of questions were on it?
There was a literacy survey last spring.
Okay.
And so it had questions about your child's experience.
Okay.
And
Like K to 4,
Yeah.
Okay. The other thing is the landscape analysis that they did, is that like a print thing that we would be able to see?
yeah,
Or,
I can provide it.
I would love to see it. Okay. That's it.
That's
That was it? Okay.
Okay, I thought
I
you
thought
were-
there was more. I wrote down a lot.
I was ready too.
I think that was it.
I have probably a question and then a comment. Question being, so I know that you're saying it's funded. Is that also going to cover supplemental materials that teachers might have? We all know that curriculum tends to come with a basic and then kind of the bells and whistles that really are necessary to make it work, but
Right.
it's considered an add-on.
So the funding will support all the components that are part of a program, right? If after we've used the program for a year or two, people identify that they need supplemental resources, that's something different. It's possible there will be money in this article still that we have. I don't know for sure because we don't know what the program is yet. But that article, if I think it's 125,000. If we leave $20,000 on the table, it sits in that article. The town holds it and it's there for whenever we need it for this particular purpose.
So it's in a reserve fund. Excellent.
Yeah.
And then in this executive summary, I just feel the need to point out when they talk about the clear assets, they're not talking about things, they're talking about who. They talk about the collaborative planning, educators who have strong commitment, leaders who want to align like that. The numbers aren't great. Yes, we need something more cohesive, but what they have found the strength to be in are the people who are going to provide all of this. So that just needs to be highlighted right there, that they're seeing some really great things in the people who are providing the education. So
Agreed. Thank you.
Quick question. How long do we have the grant for? Is it 1 year that you need to spend the money, or is it over?
It's a
Years.
1-year grant, but there's no time limit on spending the money.
Okay.
And we can potentially receive additional funds in a year 2 of this grant if we needed it.
Okay, but just so you know, for points,
Mhm.
it has to be tracked, and the grant money can't be spent for anything
Oh, yeah.
besides
Yeah, that's right. This is,
educational piece.
yes, it's all through an online
Awesome.
platform called GEMS that the state has provided for districts to, first, it's everything from the beginning to the end of a grant application and spending it down is all done through this one platform. So I typically start the process with an application and then submit it and get the information back. And then I pass it over to Mrs. Gainey, who from there, what do you do?
From there, we put everything through the reimbursement process, and that's how we receive the funds from DESE, and then we go all the way through the final reporting stage of finishing out each grant through auditing, through everything.
Exactly.
Everything.
And
all
so
the
They
stages.
make sure you spend the money on
Yeah.
how you say you're going to spend the money and how it was approved.
And
Yeah.
within the window that they give you.
No,
Yes.
that's perfect. I just want to
Yep.
make sure that
Yeah.
no one thinks that we can take this money.
Yes,
and
this
Oh,
can't,
no.
it can't be
Other-
used to supplement or supplant anything
Yes.
else.
Yeah.
It's very
Stuff that
specific.
Dr. Michelle talked about already tonight.
Right,
Right.
exactly.
Thank you.
And then, just because I don't want to forget our friends in 6th grade, because technically 7th and 8th grade, the department heads from the high school kind of follow suit and make sure that they're on track. What about our 6th graders? What are they going to have for a
Thank you for asking.
You know?
So that I can remind the audience. So about 2 years ago, we had a grade 5 and grade 6 ELA curriculum review. And so I worked, because you're right, there is no department head who supports grade 5 and 6. Instead, it was Dr. Basta supporting grade 5 and 6. I met with those two teams for 5 or 6 months in that year to look at what they were doing. Everything that we're doing with this consultant right now, we did on a much smaller scale with grade 5 and 6 about 2 years ago. And out of that, the decision was made by the grade 5 team that there was an ELA curriculum review coming up for K-4. They wanted to be a part of that because it made sense. And there are a lot of programs that you can find that are upper elementary, even though here in Abington, it's lower middle school, right? Grade 6, however, made the decision to the program that they were using at the time, Windows and Mirrors, I think that's what it was called. The licensing was expired. And so that was really the reason we had that program review. And they made the decision to instead go the other direction and follow suit what's happening from 7 to 12, which is groups of teachers write units based on the state standards and the resources that we have available and the needs of our students. So grade 6 last year spent the entire year working on units as a team, and they continue to fine tune those this year.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So going off of that math, then, are we trying to target the curriculum that more aligns itself to grades 1 through 5 then? As opposed to something that might cater more to a K to 4, so that we're not leaving our 5th graders.
So we haven't gotten to that part of the process yet. The team is K to 5, and that's our goal, is K to 5. After we do our initial review, so again, we're following, you can look on the DESE website, I think it's called Implement MA. For high quality instructional materials, DESE has a very rigid program that you have to follow for evaluating and selecting and implementing new materials. And part of it is what DESE will help pay for, which is part of the grant for us. It needs to be a program that has been evaluated on either the national review program called EdReports, or the Massachusetts-based version that's pretty similar but a little different, called Curate. So we haven't gotten to step 1 yet, which is exactly what you're wondering. We haven't done that initial look to see how many programs are there that are highly rated on EdReports or Curate and are K to 5.
Okay.
So
So it is sort of a choice-based menu, essentially, of
Yes.
this is where your starting point is going to be as far
Exactly.
as.
So we'll start looking for K to 5 that's highly rated and matches our instructional vision and the needs of our students. And if down the road, if we find that it's too hard to find something that fits all of those, but we might be able to find K to 3 and 4, 5, maybe we do that. But our goal really is to be consistent.
If not consistent, then something that is.
Complementary.
That complements each other.
I see you, Melanie.
Question. Once we make the decision, will the EL team have time to understand how this parallels with the curriculum that we use for multilingual students? And how does that kind of come
Yes,
together?
so thank you for asking that. The Curriculum Council, in addition to having classroom teachers from K to 5, also has special educators, also has ELE teachers.
Okay.
So they're already embedded in the selection process, and then that's part of the implementation. You know, whatever program we end up selecting for a recommended adoption will have built-in supports for differentiation, for students with disabilities, for students who are learning English, and that's part of the deliberations the team will make. Are there enough supports for our students in this program for us to evaluate it even? And if there are, then we evaluate it. And from there, part of the planning for implementation next year would include each department looking at what do we need to do to be prepared, and how can we support our students with this new program.
Okay. Thank you.
Good question. Thank you.
Anyone else have any questions for Dr. Basta?
I actually have one more. Regarding the coach, sorry, does the coach leave after a year, or does the coach stay to make sure everything's been implemented to the way that it was discussed?
Another great question. So with a two-part answer. One of the stipulations that we in Abington made with DESE for this grant that we are so happy to have received was that we want to make sure some of the funds are used for professional development and training provided by the publisher, right? Because it's theirs. They know the product and they have all the knowledge that we need about how to deliver it and how to work with our students. But at the same time, this coach is on board with us through this year, absolutely. And like I said, there is the option to apply to get a second year added on, like an extension to the grant, for exactly what you're talking about.
Okay.
There are some districts that receive this grant also, but they're moving much more slowly. So this year, the whole year is just what we've already accomplished. And so next year, they're going to move forward with piloting and then making a recommendation for the following school year. We were in a different place, and so other districts might need a coach all year next year to help them with the process. We'll be in a different place. We'll be potentially needing some additional support. It depends on what we're getting from the publisher, right? If we have 3 or 4 days of professional development next year, let's say, that might be enough to get us started. And we'll have to see what the program offers and then collaborate with. We also have, I haven't said this, a contact at DESE,
Oh, nice.
who is every month, I'm on a call with them, talking about our progress and challenges and how they can support us. So they will know if we feel like we need more from the coach, and we'll apply for that for next year. Thank you.
Anybody else? Great questions. Thank you, Dr. Basta.
Thank you.
Moving forward, new business in the next school committee meeting date. So this is the 1 month where we have 2. So I'll call it the regular January school committee meeting will be held on Tuesday, January 27, 2026 at 6:30 p.m. here. Some dates coming up. Wednesday, January 7th, the music parents meeting in the middle high school band room at 6:30 p.m. On Thursday, January 8th, Beaverbrook's PTO meeting is in their cafeteria at 7 p.m. Monday, January 12th, the middle school's PTO meeting is in the middle school cafeteria downstairs at 7 p.m. On Tuesday, January 13th, there is an in-service early release day for students. And on Monday, January 19th, all schools and administrative buildings are closed for Martin Luther King Day. Does anybody else have anything they want to add
Does Woodsdale have a PTO?
tonight?
Oh, okay.
Anything else? Okay, so if not, we will adjourn into executive session tonight. So by roll call vote pursuant to Mass General Law, Chapter 30A, Section 21A2, to discuss the parameters for a superintendent contract and not to return to the regular session. So for the 3rd time tonight, I'll be going for a roll call vote. Caroline?
Yes.
Melanie?
Yes.
Heidi?
Yes.
I'll go yes. And Pam?
Yes.
Thank you all very much, and Happy New Year from all of us, even if it's still allowed to say at this date. I'm not sure anymore.
Sure.
Thank you.
Thank you.